And welcome back to episode
13.
whatever episode
13.
it is. 13.
Yep.
13. Sorry, it's been a tough week for us. But episode 13 of Talking ATL Hawks. I am John, and these are my other co-hosts, Andrew and Chase. And it's not been a good week for us, has it?
No, this is episode Bogey. This is Bogey's episode.
Yeah, Bogey's episode.
Bogey. And newsflash, he still sucks. So yeah, this is gonna be you're not gonna hear a lot of positive things about the Hawks
No.
in this episode.
We were contemplating like trash back to this episode, but like that wouldn't have been we wouldn't be able to breathe. So like we probably like died during the episode, and that wouldn't be good. So,
but honestly, dying is still better than watching this Hawks team. Hey, but I will say though, I am glad to be back. Guys, of course, y'all know I missed last episode. I was dealing with some strep throat. So not only was I watching the Hawks play horrible basketball, but really just one game because I watched a Pistons game when I had strep throat. So I was feeling horrible, and I watched the Hawks play a terrible game against the Pistons. But I was thinking, I was like, oh, but tomorrow's Thursday. I'm starting to feel better. Me, Andrew, Joyner, we went with Joyner's brother as well. We went to the Hawks game. I was like, oh man, we get to go see the Hawks, destroy the Raptors in person. That didn't happen. And then not to top it all off, last night we got to see an even worse performance against the same team we just played. So we'll break that all down for us. But yeah, if there's one thing I can take from this week, I'm glad I'm finally over strep throat because that was killing me. You know how they say it's hard to beat the same team back to back? The Raptors made it look like the easiest thing in the world. I mean, quite honestly. And we're talking about a Hawks team that can beat the Celtics twice, can beat the Cavs back-to-back, but we have 2 losses against the Washington Wizards and now 2 losses against the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, what is that? Why can't we beat the bad teams, but we can beat the good teams? Like, what is that?
That is the 2024-2025 Atlanta Hawks for you, ladies and gentlemen. Get used to it.
It's the biggest enigma in the NBA.
At this point, I am rooting for us to finish as the 8th seed so we can have an easy first round against the Cavs. Because heaven forbid we finish as a pretty high seed and have to play somebody
like the Pistons that sneak in, or maybe the Bulls if they manage to sneak in.
Yeah, because it seems like our best chance in the playoffs is playing the best team. So I mean, makes nothing about this team makes sense. But John, why don't you go ahead and get this roller coaster started?
Oh, Joyner, before we even start, John, how about you point out that when we went to the Hawks game Thursday, Buddy copped himself a fire Zachary Richardson City Edition jersey.
Yeah, so I finally was able to get myself a new Hawks jersey because my last Hawks jersey was a DeJounte Murray jersey, and as these two know, I have bad Hawks jersey luck. Every time I get a new Hawks jersey, they either get traded or they need free agency. And the last Hawks game I went to, it was against I got that jersey against a game against the Nuggets, and I was originally trying to get a John Collins jersey, which I mean that would have worked out for me either because he got traded that same offseason. So I'm glad I got the DeJounte Murray because I got to have a full season of him, but as we all know, last offseason he got traded, which has worked out well for us so far because the Pelicans are doing worse than we are, even though we're still doing bad. But yeah, I finally got a. I said to these boys, like as soon as we got the number pick, I said whoever we draft, I'm getting their jersey, and but Thursday when I got to the game, I was contemplating like whose jersey I wanted to get. I either was going to get a Johnson jersey, a Okongwu jersey, or a Richardson jersey, and I just went with the rookie number Richardson. So I got a Richardson jersey.
But with that being said, sorry, I just want to say, so if all of a sudden Zachary Richardson just gets traded out of nowhere, you know why.
Yeah, it's my fault. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but like I didn't want to risk like Okongwu or Johnson getting traded. So like.
You know what you should have done? You should have gone a Clint Capella jersey because then we wouldn't have to worry about him sticking around.
I was thinking about that too, but like also like he's, but like also like he didn't do that bad for us off the bench. He's been doing good for us off the bench so far. I mean,
Quite honestly, last episode we ended off last episode talking about that Knicks game in Madison Square Garden, where of course Clint Capella came off the bench for the very first time after Congo came back, and you're absolutely right. He actually played one of his better games that we've seen from him all season, but. John, if you will, you might as well go ahead and get into this Pistons game because my spirits are already low, so they can't get any lower. So and what I mean by that is we just watched the Chiefs and the Eagles both win their conference championship game today, and nobody wants the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. But guess what? That's what we have to live with. So my spirits are already as low as they can get.
So to start off this game, first quarter we lost the first quarter by 10. They had 36. We had 26. Second quarter about the same. They won the first half, but and they won. They pretty much won all three quarters, except for the first quarter. We won that quarter 29-17. But guys, like I've been saying all this time, if you stop team's best player, we have a chance of winning. Cade Cunningham, man. Cade Cunningham had 29 points. He shot 12 for 19 for the field, and I mean, like I've been saying, like he went crazy. Sar Thompson did pretty solid. And then Nick Beasley off the bench had 19. I mean,
that's a Florida State boy right there.
And then Trae Young. And then Trae Young also, like, he's been struggling as of late, and we'll get into that later because he didn't do well these past two games as well against the Raptors. Yep. But I mean,
we actually have some very devastating news that took place last night.
We'll get into later. But I mean, for us, I mean, this is the Congo's first stinker game in the starting line. Only putting up 19 points, 10 rebounds. Jalen Johnson shot abysmal, 8 for 21. Still had 17 points, so I mean, okay, but shot 0 for 6 from 3. What is he doing shooting six 3-pointers, man? I don't know. I don't get it.
Sorry, I was going to say before you continue, John, how about we will do a quick little shout out to Jalen Johnson for his absolutely insane highlight dunk that he had absolutely posterized. One of the Pistons players.
That was probably the highlight of the game. It was two dunks.
I didn't see it live, but I saw a replay, and I don't know who the poor player was. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Paul Reed. You might be right.
Or maybe it was Holland.
It doesn't.
It was either Ronald Holland or Paul Reed.
It doesn't matter who it was. That poor soul lost his life that day. Thanks to Jalen Johnson. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, John. I just wanted to at least appreciate that one really bright spot of the game.
Before the news that we'll get into later, I think we all thought that Jalen Johnson had a chance to compete in the dunk contest. But I mean, as we said, we'll get into it later. But I don't think he will now. But those two dunks were pretty nasty. But I mean, DeAndre Hunter, he had a stinker of a game. Jalen Johnson, he had a stinker of a game, shooting 2 for 14 from the field, 0 for 9 from 3.
That was bad. And, here's a common theme that we're going to be talking about a lot in this episode. And it's a common theme that we have noticed as of late about this Hawks team, especially in this slump that we're in right now. And it all revolves around the Hawks' lack of production beyond the 3-point line. Because, I mean, you see the stereotype or the storyline that's going around the NBA about how everybody's complaining about the viewership, the overall tendency about the products you see on the court all revolves around the 3-point line. And Chase has the highlight of the Jalen Johnson dunk that we'll get into.
Wow, okay, so we're already taking shots at John. I like it.
Jalen Duren, that's who it was. Which is actually
kind of really notable because Jalen Duran, since Ivy has been injured for the Pistons, Jalen Duran has taken such a big step up for the Pistons, especially defensively. So actually really impressive that Jalen Johnson actually dunked on Duran. That's
well, yeah, it's okay. The point that I was talking about wasn't a point. I should just stop right now.
Oh, I thought you were stopping so we could watch that real quick.
No, well, I said after I get done explaining this, then we can jump into it. But yeah, basically what I was saying, and alluding to John's point, is you've seen the narrative that's been made around the NBA. And whether you like the NBA nowadays because of how much players rely on the three-point line and how much that aspect of the game has evolved, whether you agree with those tendencies or not, the fact of the matter is if you don't have a consistent three-point shot, you're going to be falling behind a lot. And that's what we've seen the Hawks do more times than not over the span of the slump that we're in. And you said it, John, one of our best players off the bench, the front runner for the sixth man of the year, in my opinion, DeAndre Hunter. He especially has been struggling to find his stroke from beyond the arc, and we saw in that Pistons game going 0 for 9. And then Bojan Bogdanovic, who really hasn't been that consistent player, explosive three-point shooter, Kyle Korver, Kevin Huerter-esque player that we were hoping to see, that we saw out of him during or the year after our incredible Eastern Conference Final.
No, the year of the Eastern Conference Final.
Well, but I was saying the year afterwards was like the cutoff of like his production that we've seen, and then of course Clint Capella. Not Clint Capella. He definitely should not be shooting threes. But Jalen Johnson went 0 for 6. Like you said, Tran 1 for 4. Dyson Daniels is really a guy that, in my honest opinion, should kind of shy away from the three-point line. His defensive specialties are – it's outstanding. His production, he's a great playmaker. He can make some great passes. He's got great court vision. He's able to make strong layups after tough contact. But his three-point line, he doesn't have that rhythmic shooting that I think it's not a strong suit of his game. The Hawks' three-point shooting was insanely bad in this business.
It was 15%. If you look at the box score, it was 15%. We quite literally shot ourselves out of this game.
6 for 38. That's rough.
That's the thing, and it wasn't even our three-point shooting. This is the worst shooting performance I've seen from the Hawks in a long time in general. Shooting 37.9%, which is around basically 38%, which is important to note because our defense played fantastic. Like, honestly, our defense, the Pistons did shoot 50%, but we didn't make it easy for them at all. They shot 35% from the three, and other than Malik Beasley, they had a really tough time attacking the Hawks from beyond the arc, which is a problem the Hawks has been having trouble defending all season long. So that was actually a really big thing for the Hawks, is that they were shutting down and limiting the three-point shot from the Pistons. However, their inside attack is what absolutely killed us, especially Cade Cunningham. Buddy is a contested shot genie from right at the rim. Like it doesn't matter who goes up with him. Buddy is acrobatic, he's athletic, and he can go up against the Eiffel Tower, and Cade Cunningham will make a shot fall, that was the big killer for the Hawks. And rebounding too. We talked about Durant already. He's taken a big step up for the Pistons defensively, grabbed 12 boards. And then Stewart off the bench had an additional 12 boards for the Pistons, totaling their 44. But like I said, the Hawks shot 38%, which was even worse of a shooting performance than the Hawks had during our road game a couple weeks, or actually pretty early in the season when we traveled to Golden State to San Francisco to play the Warriors at Chase Center. If you remember how horribly the Hawks shot the ball, not just three-point wise, but just in general. And that was a tough game to watch because of it. And this was really a similar story. But if you want to take any good thing from this game, just sit back and watch, ladies and gentlemen.
Right over. No stopping
Jalen Johnson.
Please, I hope they're going to show the slow motion replay,
because if you didn't notice, Jalen Johnson,
they'll show
right here. Oh my good.
He loses the ball mid-air, and then right before the ball starts to fall, he regathers possession and still slams it down over Durant.
Yeah, insane. he definitely should be in the dunk contest. But unfortunately, as we're gonna get into just in just a few minutes, probably won't happen.
Adam Silver doesn't like the fans to have fun when they watch the All-Star game. Hey, you know what? No, I will not take this Adam Silver slander. He's not a good commissioner. He is. No, I don't know. I don't even think this should be a hot take. Adam Silver is the best commissioner in all of sports. And no, but Buddy tries to change the game. Stephen A. Smith lays it out perfectly. The All-Star game is ruined not because of Adam Silver. The All-Star game is ruined by the players not caring anymore. And the game is not ruined by the players. It's ruined by the fans who can't accept change. And I live by that statement. I agree with you about the fan thing. I agree with you about the fan thing, but Adam Silver should have never changed the All-Star game in the first place. You know what? People were complaining about the All-Star game. So Adam Silver made a change to try to make it better. Now, the change failed. Don't get me wrong, but I would love that he's actually trying to make a change. Because when you get to the point where your players just don't care about All-Star weekend, there's not much you can do. So he's trying all he can in a problem he can't really fix.
I don't think it's that the players don't care, but like think about it. Like All-Star game is pretty much full. It's pretty much full of like of teams' best players, and like they don't. And like these players don't want to get hurt. Like come second half of the season when the season matters to get into the playoffs. Because let's say LeBron like tears his ACL like going for some cool dunk. I mean, like the season's over, and the Lakers will end up like losing the rest of the season. I mean, like these players. I mean, there's a reason why they don't like compete as hard as they do during actual games that matters, because this game doesn't necessarily matter. It's just for the fun of the fans, and the fans should just want these guys to like not. They're having fun. Like they're there. The game put on a show for the fans, not to. I mean, yes, winning is fun, but like also like the fans shouldn't like care about the competitive nature. I'll say that for the other 82 games of the season, like Mr. Time to throw down like 360 window dunks and like shoot half court shots behind the back. Like it's not like this is the players' chance to have fun and not have to worry about playing competitive basketball. That's let's If you had something to say about the All-Star game, go ahead, because what I'm going to say has nothing to do with the All-Star game. I was going to say that Joyner does make a good point, and I think that's why I get frustrated when people put the blame on Adam Silver, because Joyner, you do make a good point. He has to balance. Honestly, we can make a full episode about the All-Star game, so I'm not going to rant about it too much. We should.
We could. Well, honestly, when it gets to All-Star break, I think we can. All-Star break, we can make an All-Star episode. And honestly, I'm going to kind of save my rant. I'm going to kind of save my rant for that episode. But I am going to say this, though. I am going to say this. He is a man that's having to juggle. I'm going to say he's a man that's having to juggle two problems that he can't fix. Well, number one, like Joyner said, I mean, you're right. Your stars aren't going to come out here and put their bodies on the line in a game that doesn't matter when they still have a second half of the season to be played. And he's having to juggle the fact that fans don't understand that the All-Star game is not meant to be a high-level competitive competition. It's meant to be a weekend where you appreciate what players who were played at an all-star level in the first half of the season. And Adam Silver's trying to make the best of both worlds, and it's a hard thing to do, but we will get more, or at least I'll get more into that. Well, we will, because we'll all be in the episode. Let's reel it back to Hawks basketball. I do want to make it known that I'm not putting the blame on. I wasn't really able. You didn't really give me a chance to defend myself. Oh, well, you set a fire in me. I couldn't stop it. I'm not blaming Adam Silver for anything. I'm not blaming. The reason why I don't like Adam Silver as a commissioner is because you can make the argument that he's trying to make a change, that he's trying to fix a problem, but the way he's fixing it is not the right approach. The answer is clear and is right in front of him. If you want to fix the All-Star game, don't cater to the fans.
cater to the players. Because if the players are happy, the product you're going to get on the court will make everybody else happy too. But as long as the players don't care, the fans are not going to care either. And the players used to care. And Adam Silver took that away from him.
The players stopped caring, and he tried to fix it. He tried to patch a cannon hole with a Band-Aid.
Yeah. But
that seems like a commissioner fault.
Brody, let's go ahead and move into Thursday.
Well, before we move to Thursday, I actually want to bring this up because, John, I think after the Pistons game, you sent a post in the group chat that we're in. I'm actually going to try to see if I can pull it up real quick because I think it's an interesting conversation piece. And I kind of have a strong opinion about it. That's only if I can find it. If I can't.
You scroll up. You already passed it because the picture it happened after the Waffle House. Sorry, there's no context there.
I might. Yeah, let me just. Okay, well, I can kind of explain it, I think. But basically, John sent a post about somebody. Maybe it wasn't even you, John. It may have been somebody else, and I thought it was you. But somebody made a post directing towards the idea that right now in his career, Cade Cunningham should be a more respected point guard in terms of his overall talent and skill ahead of Trae Young and Darius Garland.
No, I think I think I showed you that like Thursday. I think I showed you all that Thursday night when we were at 10.
Could have been it.
Yeah.
Could have been it.
Yeah.
I thought
that. Yeah.
I thought that statement was absolutely outrageous. They're not throwing any shade at Cade Cunningham. Absolutely love Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
I think he is going to be one of the top point guards in the NBA for a very long time. But to say that he is right now in his career should get more respect than Trae Young and Darius Garland is absolutely idiotic.
Who are they talking about?
Cade Cunningham.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I'm sorry. I don't know why, but you can't. It sounded like you were saying KD Cunningham. Like every time you said Cade, it sounded like you were saying KD, and I was like, "What?"
No,
sorry,
I can agree with that, and only because of the season the Pistons had last year, and they didn't really do much. It's obviously from what I can remember, besides the draft, but like they've significantly improved.
Yeah, and they have, and that has a lot to do with Cade Cunningham's play. Now, his defense abilities and a lot of that has to do with the size. I envision Cade Cunningham as a Ben Simmons if Ben Simmons had any sort of offensive production.
If Ben Simmons cared about playing basketball.
Cade Cunningham's defense was the likes of Ben Simmons his rookie year, but he has all the offensive attributes to complement every aspect of his game. So don't sit here and think that I'm dissing Cade Cunningham. Absolutely love that guy. But Trae Young and Darius Garland, what they're doing right now is far better than what Cade Cunningham's doing.
But honestly, they're hard players to compare to.
Yeah.
Trae Young and Garland is more of your elusive and outside shooting point guard. Cade Cunningham is a perfect example of a good old-fashioned attacker of the rim. Like he's what Westbrook used to be. Westbrook
was better.
I'm not comparing the two. I'm talking about play style. He plays like what Westbrook used to be. But OKC Westbrook, that's exactly how Cade Cunningham plays.
Westbrook still plays like that, to an extent.
He does. He honestly does. I'm not comparing who's better. I'm talking about they were both finishers at the rim. They were acrobatic, and they were tough guys to go up with if you wanted to. They're not this at all. He's not at all the same type of point guard that Trae Young and Garland is. So it's kind of weird that he's comparing the three anyway. Whoever said that.
I guess. But John, go ahead and take us until Thursday. This is the game that we had the pleasure of attending. But John,
was it really a pleasure though? We'll get into that.
It was a good time.
For sure. Right, it was a good time.
Could have been a better time.
Like we said earlier, we started the day out like we were on our beautiful campus of the University of West Georgia. We met up with my brother at Ted's Montana Grill.
The best place on earth.
Oh, that place is so good.
Yeah, I had a great meal. Had some good laughs. I had some good time talking Hawks basketball. And and we got to the game like right as tip off starts because we were caught up in a bit of traffic in Atlanta. If y'all don't know Atlanta traffic, then it sucks. But
you don't live in Atlanta if you don't know Atlanta traffic. It's awful.
I'll actually like y'all to start talking about the first quarter because me and my brother missed like the first 5 minutes because we were getting our jerseys. So I'll let y'all two start off the game because y'all texted me and said like how bad the Hawks are doing. So Chase, why don't you start?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to cut you off. I have a bad habit of doing that.
Chase, go ahead and start off this game.
You know, if I'm being honest, the first quarter set the tone for the rest of the game because I'll do a quick little layout for you. This is how the game went. The Hawks found themselves in a hole. The whole game was the Hawks crawling themselves out of a hole, and then they finally did, and in the final minutes of the game just collapsed, and at that point it was too little too late. But the main core of the collapse happened in the first quarter. The Hawks went on to lose the quarter 35-25, and this was a very weird game to watch because you had Trae Young, who, thank the Lord, played, and Jalen Johnson, who, thank the Lord, played, which, by the way, Jalen Johnson did get injured. It was early second quarter or about middle second quarter. Suffered a shoulder injury. I believe he went up for a block. And when he came, he went down at the same time. I can't remember who he went up with, but when he did, his shoulder came down to awkward position. When he did, he just immediately dropped his shoulder and he ran straight to the locker room. It wasn't because he was going for a block. It's he was trying to fight off. He was guarding somebody in the post, and he was trying to get his arm in a position to where if the ball was delivered to him, he could bat it down. And I think it was Podol who was guarding him. Kind of once Jalen Johnson put his arm over his shoulder,
that's right.
He kind of put his arm back up and sort of hyperextended his shoulder, and that's when the kind of pain happened. So. It was the details of the injury are still uncertain, but
we don't know. We don't know if it was hyperextension or worse or less. But he was in a lot of pain. We knew it was bad. We knew that he was probably not coming back to the game. We just want to say prayers to Jalen Johnson. It's tough that we were trying. It's tough because we need him for our team and. Like we said earlier, we wanted to see him in the dunk contest and potentially the All-Star game.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it's not looking like it's going to happen. Just hope we can come back healthy in the next coming games, and because we need him for this playoff push if you want to make it there.
And the only thing we do know about the Jalen Johnson injury is that he's out indefinitely, which if you ever see the word indefinitely on an injury report, that is it's almost worst case scenario. Because basically what they're saying is they don't know the full listing of the injury, but they do know that it's worse enough that he's going to miss an extended amount of time. And you could see it because as soon as it happened, me and Chase were looking right at him. He grabbed his shoulder. You could see he was screaming. You could physically see that he was in pain, and he sprinted to the locker room almost as if he knew something was seriously wrong. Yeah. So very scary sight. Very scary sight. But what made the game weird to watch and really what put the Hawks in a hole early was how small our lineup was. Because, of course, we were without Clint Capella that game, which it was good to see a Congo get the start. We saw him get the start in the Knicks game, too.
And without Zachary as well.
Yeah, no Zachary because, obviously, you're right, the injury, he had a couple – almost a week ago. He's still missing time because of that. And then we lost Jalen Johnson mid-second quarter. So at that point, we had a Kongwu, and that was about the only tall person we had in the lineup. And it made it difficult.
Had no center. We literally had no center.
You're absolutely right, John. We didn't have a big man practically at all. And if you look at the Raptors lineup, you have tall players like Scotty Barnes, Kelly Olynyk, who played 14 minutes, Chris Boucher, who's almost 7 foot. He's about 6'9", 6'10", playing 18 minutes off the bench. So the Raptors, every time Congrue, especially when the Congrue was off the court, the Raptors counter with having a tall man in the lineup, and the Hawks just had no answer to it. And Trae Young,
couldn't really be the source of our main offense, which number one, his outside shooting was off, but number two, he couldn't find any lane inside. The Raptors defended. This was the most well-defended I've ever seen a team against Trae Young in a long time, and it was almost impressive to see because we couldn't lob. The only player that Trae Young really had the option to lob it to was Okongwu, and the Raptors read it a mile away. They shut down every lane Okongwu had to the basket and Trae Young every time he drived in. But there was some light in that because Dyson Daniels was able to get 37 minutes. We saw Daniels have a pretty impressive offensive performance against the Pistons, but he shot the ball extremely well. Thursday night against the Raptors, going 8 for 14, scoring 22 points. Bogey had a really nice game on the bench, shooting 8 for 12 with 23 points, one of the best games Bogey's had offensively in a while. And, of course, Vit Krejci, who shot 50%, 13 points. And then Congo had 19 on 6 for 8 shooting. But what really killed the Hawks in the first quarters, like I said, is inside. And that's both offensively and defensively. Offensively, Scotty Barnes was a mastermind inside. And we just didn't have a tall enough lineup to compete with the Raptors' inside scoring. And on the defensive end, we just had too small of a lineup to attack inside, forcing us to shoot outside, which we just had a tough time doing. But the Hawks did do a good job being able to crawl their way in. And then it was at the about midway through the fourth quarter, when the Hawks finally took the lead. And then it got to a point where it was a 6-point game with about 3 minutes left. And then the same thing happened. The Raptors started attacking us inside. They got some fouls going. And then we were just, again, completely shut down on the inside. Outside shooting just flat out abysmal. And it was 122-119 with about 3 seconds of the game. Hawks inbound the ball, and it was the worst drawn-out play I've ever seen, forcing Okongwu to shoot a deep contested three at the buzzer, which we obviously missed, resulting in the loss. It's hard to blame the Hawks on this loss because of what we were facing with and what we were dealing with. But the thing, it was kind of also aggravating seeing Quinn Snyder have a hard time trying to figure out how to counter these issues.
I will say this, like Davion Mitchell for the Raptors, he's a very underrated defender. I loved him going out of Baylor. I actually got his Kings jersey as like a birthday gift. I don't know why. I just I just wanted to get his Kings jersey. I don't know why. I just like him.
Why not, man? Why not? Do you remember when he was drafted out of Baylor and he was on the Kings and everybody just immediately right out of the draft immediately just put him on a pedestal and just claim that he was going to be just as good, if not better, than Donovan Mitchell. And, I mean, the hype around that kid was absolutely insane. But, Chase, since you just left me and John the slim pickings of that game, I feel like there's nothing else to talk about. But, I guess I'll be the bottom feeder, yet again. But, so I'll go back to what Chase talked about in his mouthful equation. Bogey Bogdanovic, this was a really kind of a resurgence game because, we talked about, in the last as we were talking about the Pistons game, and we got on the subject of Bogey and about how he hasn't really found that same production that he once had, and that kind of led to his big extension with Atlanta. But I think we know he's got the skill set. We know he's got the ability. We saw him over the summer in Paris during the World Cup, especially in that game against Team USA. I mean, he absolutely lit us up from not just the three-point line, but his ability to get inside the paint and knock down a post-fade mid-range and just any contested shot was unbelievable. So we know he's got the game too. We know he hasn't lost any of that skill or talent, but I think it's been a confidence issue, and he's really trying to find, I think, his role on this team, especially because this is a new-look Hawks team from what we've seen the last 2 years, and the true identity runs through Trae Young, and Bogey's got to kind of find his
his identity and kind of mold back into he needs to be the Hawks' main source of outside shooting like he once was. And granted, he can drive inside, he can play defense. We saw him put that on well display when we saw him live in person, and dropping 23 points and going 3 for 5 was perfect. And he hit a lot of clutch shots. It seemed like his confidence meter went up and up as the game progressed, and he was able to be clutch bogey like he once again, and he was cemented into the role that we saw him 2 to 3 years ago, and I was really happy to see that. And we also got the pleasure of seeing Barlow make his Hawks debut, Dominic Barlow, not his NBA debut, but his Hawks debut,
and he helped add some height to the lineup as well. He's a nice 6'8" rims. He tagged the rim very well, which did help counter the height issues that the Hawks were facing that night as well.
Yeah. So one last thing I want to ask you personally, since you're all Florida State fans, like what's your thoughts on watching Scotty Barnes? Like, I just want to get get y'all's like Florida State analysis on that, because that had to be tough for you to watch and see unfold. He was beating up on us. I just want to get your thoughts.
So, if I may, watching Scotty Barnes play, definitely a big pleasure, because as John mentioned, as it's been alluded to a little bit previously in the podcast, is Chase and I huge Florida State fans, and we've really had a sharp eye on Scotty Barnes actually since me and Chase were in high school. So, interesting story is we went to Temple High School, and we had our best friend was played on the basketball team, and had our friend won, they're in the playoffs, and it was a regional game. We unfortunately lost, but had we won that game, our friend would have had gone up against Scotty Barnes in the very next game. That would have been his defensive assignment.
No.
So
you're getting him confused with Matthew Cleveland.
Oh, I am getting – I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to have to take that story back. I did get him confused with another player that also played for Florida State named Matthew Cleveland. But, yeah, let's go back to Scotty Barnes and his Tallahassee days. And what we saw in that game against the Hawks, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, it's almost an identical stat line to what we saw him do in Tallahassee, because he really used his size advantage very, very well in this game. It's something he's been doing since he's played for Florida State. Because, granted, I believe Chase might have said, 6'7", 237 pounds. This is a guy with tremendous size and tremendous athleticism, and he can handle the ball very, very well, which makes him a very underrated playmaker, because he's able to get tough offensive rebounds and set up second chance points like we saw him do a lot in Tallahassee. So it was aggravating because he was doing it against the Hawks, but it was really fun to see his strong suits that he had at Florida State really generate into exponential growth in the National Basketball Association, and it really was a big factor to how the Raptors were able to counter the Hawks with those second chance points that Scotty Barnes was able to create by getting the rebound and immediately knowing where the open man was going to be. And he did the exact same thing that Trae Young and John Collins used to do with the backdoor screens off the screen assist by another forward, and RJ Barrett also was complimented well by Scotty Barnes' play, because RJ Barrett, also a sizable guard or sizable forward, was able to go alongside Scotty Barnes. So, defensively, the Hawks are subject to box out Scotty Barnes in the paint, but guess what? That just leads RJ Barrett wide open at the top of the key, and we saw RJ Barrett hit a big 3 late in that fourth quarter that really kind of put the Raptors up ahead for good because of a play that was made off Scotty Barnes dominating the glass. So that, as Florida State fans, it was awesome to watch. As Hawks fans, really aggravating.
Now, for granted, Scotty Barnes isn't all there mentally.
If
you haven't seen if you literally go on YouTube and just look up Scotty Barnes CTE moments, and I promise you will find a compilation of Scotty Barnes as being the biggest weirdo. I mean, if you don't know Scotty Barnes' personality, I mean, Buddy is just one of the goofiest guys you'll ever see. And I'm not hating on the man. Honestly, I think we need more people with that type of personality. It's just interesting because like none of his teammates want anything to do with his personality, and it's just flat out hilarious.
But John, I want to ask you something because
we love you, Scotty.
I know how I feel about this, but I want to know how you feel about this. And you can compliment the Raptors defense all you want, but I think this was more an error on the Hawks than it was the Toronto Raptors. Can you please, John, try to explain what the Hawks were trying to do on that final inbound play? There was like a second left on the clock. Hawks were down by 3, and out of all the three-point shooters we had on the court, we were forced to give it to Onyeka Okongwu. John, I want your thoughts on that because I don't think it was more on the Raptors' defense. I think it was a Hawks error.
I disagree, but John, I'll let you go ahead and explain.
I mean, like from what I saw, like Trae Young had nowhere to go. Like, I mean, like we knew that we were. Obviously, like everyone knows that ball was going to Trae. Like 9 times, like that 10 out of 10 times that ball should have gone to Trae Young. Why we gave it to Onyeka Okongwu, I don't know. I can't remember who else was on the court at that final possession because I was just too insane. Because like I believe I was just watching like. I'm just staring at Trae Young because I swear that ball should have gone to Trae Young, which it should have. You two could agree with that. And that ball should have gone to Trae.
Yes.
Like I said, like David Mitchell, he's a very underrated defender. Like he must have had like a Trae Young strapped on an island or something. So, because for some reason we get the ball to Okongwu and he just fumbled it. I guess. I don't know, but I guess we got film here, so.
Yeah, and this is exactly what John was just talking about. And John, I think you explained it perfectly. And I think we're about to see on this replay right here. So there was, of course, Quinn Snyder calls timeout. We are currently in the midst of a 2-point set. 2 points.
Yeah, why did Dyson inbound the ball? Like he's another option to shoot it.
Well, I think Dyson was inbound the ball mainly because I think we were trying to use the bigger guys like Okongwu to set. I think because Okongwu was the main screen here, and here's why I think, Chase. Before you explain your side of the story, this is why I think this was a Hawks issue rather than a Raptors issue. Because I went back and watched this play, and this is one thing that I saw that absolutely annoyed me. So of course we got Okongwu right here, Scotty Barnes on his back. RJ Barrett guarding Barlow right here. So Barlow's already setting a pre-pick on RJ Barrett. So Bogey can try to get past Scotty Barnes, which Okongwu is supposed to screen pick for Trae Young. So Trae goes around and Scotty Barnes is immediately all over that. I think Scotty Barnes, his main subject of defense was to make sure Trent doesn't get the ball. So Dyson notices that. But
when Trey watched David, he immediately swarmed into Scotty Barnes. So yeah, he was strapped. He was there was nowhere for him to go.
Yes, absolutely. Nowhere for him to go on an island, like John said earlier. So here's what pissed me off. Look what Okongwu does. He does the next best thing, and he eludes a screen to RJ Barrett and Mitchell. So Barlow, he's already trapped. Or Hunter. I said Barlow. Yeah, this is DeAndre Hunter. I don't know why I said Barlow. Hunter's trapped. Bogey, instead, what is – Chase, let's play a game here. Let's like Dora the Explorer this. What is Bogey's next best move right here?
Go to the corner.
Not the corner, the wing. Because if anyone's –
I would say the corner because –
No. Andrew's right. He should go to the corner. He's going to like sprint. It take him less time to go to that corner. I'm going to go to the wing there and sprint. It probably take him more time to go to that corner.
The only
wing is the best option.
You could, but the only reason why I say wing here is because if anyone's going to go to the corner, DeAndre Hunter's going to push off his assignment and go there. But Bogey has all this room. If he runs over here and Dyson delivers him a pass, he has a chance for a spot 3.
But the reason he didn't is because that's where Trae Young's going.
No, because Trae already got stuck. Trae was stuck. Trae was trying to, but you have to make adjustments on the inbound. Not everything's going to play out to perfection because you don't know what the defense is going to give you. As soon as Trae Young gets blocked here, he changes his direction and cuts this way, and Bogey stands completely still. And instead, so Okongwu goes to set a screen on here so Bogey can go to the corner. So it's misdirection now. You change direction. What is Hunter supposed to do now? He's supposed to go out to the wing. Somebody's supposed to go out to the wing on an inbound to get the best spot three possible. But nobody does. So Okongwu does what the forward and the guard are supposed to do, and he's now the next best option, and that it turns to an air ball. It was disgusting. I was absolutely disgusted by the Hawks' ignorant inbounding offense there. It was absolutely ignorant. But yeah. That's my take on it.
But I mean, like it's probably been a mixture of both. It's probably a mixture of the Hawks bad inbound, like terrible inbound play there, but also like you gotta give credit to the Raptors for strapping up Trae Young and Bogey because that's how Double O was able to get loose and shoot that terrible shot, but. Yeah.
Double O was the best player on the inbound because he did everything right. From the screens to doing what the guards were supposed to do, he did everything right.
He at least
shout out to you, Double O. But Bogey and Hunter, shame on you. Shame on you.
All right. I guess we'll get into this last and more, probably more atrocious Raptors game. But I guess I guess Andrew, you can talk about this one.
Do you want to start off, Chase? Because I did kind of talk a lot there.
I mean, I can. So I was able to watch a good bit of this game, and it started off like the game was going to be different. So the only problem was the Hawks were facing a lot more absences than they were somehow in that first game. Although no, Clint Capella did come back. So actually, that's probably untrue. I actually retract that statement because Clint Capella, I forgot he did end up coming back. He only played 14 minutes, and he never had that much of effect. So it didn't seem like Capella was really there, but it is nice to see him ease his way back into his normal role. But what I was most excited about, and I think we were all most excited about, was Larry Nance Jr. After weeks and weeks of being absent with his hand injury, he finally made his return in the starting lineup, I might add, and poised a nice 20 minutes, shot 2 for 10, though, and 0 for 3, which showed that Russ definitely played a factor. It was just nice to finally see him on the court. Now, there was a scary moment with Larry Nance Jr. in the third quarter. There was a moment in the game. Actually, it was either late third quarter or early fourth. I can't remember. When he went up to take a shot off the glass, but when he did, he went past the basket a little too hard, and it's like he almost tried to stop himself on the backboard, and when he did, all the momentum, yep, exactly, went onto his hand that he just injured. And as soon as it happened, he started grabbing at his hand, and then he shot a ball that possession with his hand, and it was just completely off the mark, and he let out a scream when he shot, and then Quinn Snyder obviously took him out of the game right after that. So I'm interested to see if he's going to play against the Timberwolves because of that. But this game just turned out to be a complete disaster. The first quarter was fine. The Hawks won at 27-22. Trae Young played a nice first quarter. He shot 5 for 12. So in case you can't tell, the first quarter is the only good quarter that Trae Young had. But Okongwu had a nice 7 for 10 in the lineup with 19. Vit Krivich had 20 points. But the bench played absolutely horrific. Bogdanovich was coming off that really good game off the bench just 2 nights ago against the Raptors, but this time he shot 2 for 12. 0 for 6 from 3. The Hawks shot 29% beyond the arc, 39% in total, which is basically the same percentage they had against the Pistons. It was just a little bit worse because
I didn't think it getting worse.
Well, it's because we took less shots. The percentage was high, but the overall shooting was worse.
And then Garrison Matthews shot 1 for 5 for 3. He only shot threes that night. It was just offensively, the Hawks had absolutely no answer. And the Raptors did the exact same thing they did to us Thursday night. Scotty Barnes had another terrific game, shooting 8 for 17, 24 points. RJ Barrett attacked the rim beautifully, got 23 points because of it. And size. It's again size because yes, we did get Clint Capella back, but he only played 14 minutes off the bench. So after that, Congo was the only big man we had, and the Raptors time and time again just hit us and punched us from inside, and we had no answer whatsoever. And I don't know what it is, but the Raptors just played the best defense on Trae Young for whatever reason. But Trae Young only racked up 4 assists because his playmaking abilities was completely shut out, and this was one of the hardest Hawks games to watch in a long time.
Yeah, no, you're completely right about that. I mean, like as much as we didn't like the outcome of the game on Thursday, this game was arguably worse. In fact, I stopped watching about probably halfway through the game,
and I don't blame you.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, nah, we're too injured, just throw in the towel. Yeah. I mean, like also Boucher too off the bench for the Raptors had 23.
Shot 70% too.
Yeah. So and I mean, like we have a great shooting game on off the bench,
and I must say, shout out to Coach Darko in the Toronto Raptors because, mind you, I know this doesn't look pretty on the Hawks side of the book, but the Raptors have won 6 of their last 8 games, including, of course, 2 wins over Atlanta and wins over teams like Boston. They beat a lot of
Boston.
And like you said, Chase,
I'm sorry, that game was that one.
There's a different energy that's kind of radiating from this Raptors young core, and the fact that they had done the one thing that most NBA teams have failed to do, and to find a consistent and reliable defensive formula to halt Trae Young's playmaking ability, is a scary sign for things to come because that means the Raptors young core, they're learning, and they're only going to get better. And I do want to say, Trae Young only had 4 assists in the first half, like you mentioned.
In the game.
He had but they all came in the first half. He had 0 assists in the second half.
No. I think it's I think it was the opposite. He had 0 assists in the first half, and then the second half was when he got it going. I believe.
Okay. Yeah, John.
But speaking of that, he was on a big streak of having 5 assists, and he broke it. So
that was the sad news that I was going to allude to. His massive.
So I didn't mean to break it. I don't need to break the news for you. My bad.
No, you're good. No, you're perfectly fine. It's, you said it. You're absolutely right. It's massive streak of having at least 10 plus assists or 10 or more assists in a game.
I think it was 5 assists. I think
5 assists.
Yeah, I think it was just 5.
Yeah, I didn't mean 10. I meant 5. Yeah, it came to an end. Because it's rare you ever see. I don't remember the last time Trae had 0 assists in an entire half, but it happened.
I'll just say this, and I feel like this really puts in perspective. There were only 2 guys on the Atlanta Hawks team that night that had a positive plus-minus, which was Dominic Barlow and the Daquan Plowden, who had his fantastic game against the Bulls that I know y'all talked about last episode. But so those are the only 2 players. Barlow and Plowden were the only 2 players on the Hawks that had a positive plus minus.
They played under 3, and they both played under 10 minutes. Barlow only played 3 minutes.
Exactly.
After playing 11 minutes against the game on Thursday, I don't understand why Quinn played him less this game. I don't get it. Like he didn't. He did fine on Thursday. He did fine.
I think the reason was because Clint Capella and Larry Nance coming back because he gave Larry Nance 20 minutes. Shout out to Larry Nance. Welcome back, buddy. Which honestly, I didn't like the fact that Larry Nance got 20 minutes because he shot the ball. Which, horribly. He shot 2 for 10, which I think was a mixture of rust. And Bob Rathbun made a really good point about it during the game. He said that
you can tell that every time he shot the ball, his shooting form was just completely different than what it used to be. Because he said that like when you're healing from an injury, especially like in a sport where you use that body part a lot, like your hand, he said when you're healing from a hand injury in the sport like basketball, it feels fine during the process. Like it feels like your hand is truly getting better. But Bob said once you step on the court and actually start playing, that's when you actually find out how healed your hand is. And it just looks like Larry Nance has a little more to go before that's fully 100%, because his shooting form was just completely different than what it used to be.
It was off. You could tell that he was feeling some kind of discomfort. And I'm a little ashamed that Quinn Snyder didn't notice this a lot quicker, and he should have took him out a lot sooner. Matter of fact, Trae Young had to get up from the bench and point out the fact that Larry Nance was in pain to Quinn Snyder, so that way he could finally call a timeout. Trae Young had to get up and tell Quinn Snyder to call a timeout to point out that Larry Nance was in pain.
I think in the midst of desperation, Quinn Snyder was trying to force more production out of Larry Nance since the Hawks were so weighed down by injuries in that game. But it comes to a point where you don't want to re-injure him. You got to think about the later stretch of the season and the postseason to come if we're fortunate enough to make it. And yeah, it was rough. It was a rough watch to see that. Hope Larry Nance finds more, it heals up quick enough so that way we are able to get max production. Because mind you, before the injury, Larry Nance was balling. He was, right before the injury, he had like 3 or 4 games in a row with close to 20 points. He was doing unbelievably well. And yeah, this injury is kind of putting a toll on that. But John, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to make so we can put ourselves out of our misery?
I just want us to be healthy. I mean, prayers up to Jalen Johnson. Hopefully we get Zachary back soon. Trae Young's out tomorrow, as we just found out. I genuinely don't have no other words. We're just hurt. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. If we can't stay healthy tonight, and praying that we that Fields does something at the trade deadline in 2 weeks.
Hey, John, I know you remember this, Andrew, you too, at the draft party that we went to when Bob Rathbone came up on stage and he was like, man, guys, I'm just praying that the Hawks finally have a healthy season this year. If I could go back in time and warn past Bob Rathbone, I will say, hey, Bob, I'm from the future and I'm letting you know now you are not getting what you're asking for, because this is another season with injury after injury that the Hawks are having to juggle. It's just sad to watch, man, because it's just going to leave a bunch of what-if scenarios in your head. And right now, I'm just starting to think, what if Jalen Johnson, Zachary, Larry Nance, all remain healthy and we never lost them, and the Hawks continue to grow this chemistry? What would we look like right now?
Yeah.
We wouldn't lose back to – I think we'd be a top 5 team.
We wouldn't lose back to the Raptors. That is for sure.
No, we would have swept them. We would have swept this team. We should have swept this team. But, I mean, injuries happen. It's a part of the game. We just need them healthy, and hopefully they can get healthy before the All-Star break, so we can have them for the second half.
Yep,
absolutely. But if nobody else has any closing remarks, John, you can go ahead and send us home.
Well, this was another episode of Talkin ATL Hawks. When we come back, we will have played the Timberwolves, because we play them tomorrow.
Yep.
The Rockets, which is a makeup game from the January 11th game that was canceled due to the
snow day.
Due to the the snow in Atlanta. Oh well.
Whatever.
And then we play, and then on Thursday we play the 36-9 Cavaliers, which we've already beaten twice.
Which is gonna be a win, apparently.
Apparently, but I mean, you never know. And then I believe, and then those are the only 2 games that we have left until our next episode. So this has been episode 13 of Talking ATL Hawks. Again, I'm John, and Thank you to my two co-hosts, Andrew and Chase Jefferson. We will see you guys on next Sunday. Thank you.
I'm gonna let out a very sad caca.
Raise up. One more thing. Not Hawks related, but I do want to say that 5 years ago today we lost Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna Bryant. This is honestly has affected me personally because he was my favorite player growing up, and I wore 24 in high school because of him.
I saw your story about that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, us from the NBA community, we're always thinking about him, and it was a very nice thing that Trae Young did when he wore the number 8 jersey for the first few seconds of that game after he passed. So we just want to say that we're always thinking about Kobe and his daughter, and we just hope that he's resting good up in heaven.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up before the episode.
I was thinking about that this entire thing.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about it, but so I just wanted to bring that up because it was very personal for me because I was actually got done playing a tournament when I found out.
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad you brought that up because that was definitely something to be noted.
Yeah. 100%.
5 years ago today, and we can't forget about that because that day should haunt us forever. But
Mamba up, man.
Mamba forever, man.
Forever.
Mamba forever.